What is up, guys? Rick Hackus here, and welcome to the PodKack number 7. In today's video, we're going to be discussing The Division. It came out recently, and a lot of people are wondering if it's worth buying. We're going to be discussing the pros and the cons in a balanced fashion, and really going over and answering the question, is The Division actually amazing, or is it simply overhyped? Now, with me to help discuss this is Foxman. He's here, and he was in a couple of the other podcasts. Foxman, say hello.
What's up?
And he has also been playing The Division since its release, and I think you've been playing a lot too. Fill us in on how much you've been playing.
I believe I have about a day in like 6 hours, something like that. So quite a bit.
Are you max level yet? Are you level 30?
Yeah, I'm working up to Dark Zone 30 right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I'm Dark Zone level 37, max level 30. Like, I've been grinding this game. We've both been playing this game a lot, so
Yep.
I think we're both pretty qualified into saying, you know, the pros and the cons for this game at this point. So, I think a lot of people are wondering, the question that I see a lot is people saying, all right, Endgame. What happens when you get to max level 30? And what activities can you do? Is there a substantial endgame? Fox, I'll let you take this away. What do you think about the Division endgame? When you get to rank 30, what do you think of the options available to you at that point?
So you can do obviously like the daily challenge missions where you can get your high-end gear, the yellow gear.
And Phoenix credits. Don't forget about that.
I think like 30 Phoenix credits for every mission. And then you can also go farm Dark Zone for some more high-end gear. And right now, I do not think the endgame is very substantial, at least for me. You can't, it's just, feels like I'm back at Destiny, to be honest. Back to just playing PvP over and over and over.
I hear what you're saying. But I'm going to slightly disagree with you here and say kind of the opposite, because I think Destiny was a little bit different, because when you kind of got up to the levels in Destiny, you had such a clear thing to do. It was like, what do you do when you get to kind of around the max level? The raid, right? And then you do the raid on hard. And it was like the de facto endgame content. Yeah. For the Division, when you get to rank 30, that it doesn't really have that. There actually is an incursion on the bottom right-hand corner of the map.
That's why I said right now, there's not really anything. But next month, like when April comes around, and that free update comes out, that's when I'm hoping I'll be able to say there is something substantial to do.
Exactly, like the incursion is there, you can go over it, and actually it says the reward is a set item, so that's going to be just like a raid piece of gear from Destiny. So I'm interested to see what that is all about. But anyway, like I was saying, right now, it's just kind of like a bunch of different options. Like you said, you can do the challenge modes, which are legitimately quite challenging. Doing those missions in the challenge modes, you get guaranteed golds. They're pretty hard to do. You have to have a lot of teamwork, good gear, and they're pretty fun, actually. You can also do dailies, which are just basically doing certain missions on hard, and you get the Phoenix credits. And by the way, Phoenix credits you use to buy certain high-end weapons from certain vendors. And you can also just go into the Dark Zone. So there isn't really a direction. When you get to the end game, it's not really like, oh, this is what you should do. You know, which incursions, when they come out, kind of will be that. But right now, it's very loose. Which, I understand your position of, like, you kind of just feel like you are grinding the same missions that you already did. The Dark Zone, you're just doing the same shit over and over again, right? I understand what you're saying, but I don't mind it as much because I'm a lot more used to those loot-based games. Like when I was playing Diablo 3 recently, I got into that game. Once you get to like max level in Diablo 3, you just grind these like rifts, these Nephilim rifts, which are just like randomly generated dungeons, like over and over and over and over and over again. That's all you do, just trying to get the good gear. And if you're like really into those loot-based games like me, the drive for good gear is like enough to keep you going. Like for me, I don't mind going into the Dark Zone and just like constantly farming gear, because we're going to talk about the gear in and of itself, but it's a fun thing for me to do. Like I like, you know, getting a high-end weapon and then you trying to extract from the Dark Zone and then you see other people and it gets really sketchy. I'm okay with that.
Going back to Destiny again, which a lot of comparisons will be between this game and Destiny.
Fox, all you do is complain about Destiny, all right?
Well, I'm gonna say I would grind and grind and grind for Hawkmoon for like 4 months straight, just grinded and grinded until I finally got it. And then it was just like, okay, now I'm gonna find something new. Maybe I found like an exotic armor piece that I wanted or something. But in this game, there's like nothing that I really have my mind set on that I want right now.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I understand what you're saying. And in this game doesn't necessarily. It has a few of the special named, like
Yeah.
high ends, Liberator, the Midas, the Caduceus, that. But it'll also, like, you can just get, and I have a few, like, I have a high end classic AK-47, and I have a high end military Scar H.
Which I'm happy about. I
Yeah.
like that.
They just continued the loot system so you can basically get random high-end weapons. They'll just have an extra perk. They'll generally have better stats. And they'll just be random drops, just like how you can get a completely random purple. Which, it's a double-edged sword. On the one side, like you said, it lacks the kind of, like, amazingness of the Destiny exotics. Like, the Hawk Moon is so unique. It looks so cool. You can, like, tell when people are shooting it nearby and stuff. This game doesn't really have that, and yet it also, on the other hand, does have more diversity because it's more random.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really say, I want this high-end gear because it can come with any sort of random perks. It's not guaranteed.
No, the named ones are guaranteed, I think. But the other high-end gear is completely random, is what I'm saying. It has both. But the named gear is pretty... Like, when you're using a pecan, it's not as special as using the Hawk Moon or the Red Death or the Hereafter.
It's just, I don't have a set goal in this game currently. And hopefully when the new stuff comes out, I will be provided with one.
Okay, now I want to talk about, I know, like, in total, I think I am liking this game so far.
Yeah, I can say that.
I am enjoying it, and you know, it is just a nice break from other games, and I'm actually really happy this game came out when it did in March. Like, usually there's shit all until, like, you have to wait from November to November. Like, Red Dead Redemption came out in summer that one year. That was like a godsend too. So I'm glad this game came out when it did, and it's just giving me something to play. But we have to discuss some of the negatives of this game too, because it's not like, you know, this game is completely perfect either. I think one of the main negatives for me, and I don't know about you, because you're on the PS4, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm on the Xbox One, so I'll see. I haven't talked to you before about this, so we're going to see if we have any sort of differences. But for me, on the Xbox One, one of the main downsides is the glitches and the errors. I get, game.
Let's talk about day one first. How about that?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, let's start at the beginning. Yeah, it was horrible.
Was awful. I mean, that could compare to when Battlefield 4 launched, I think.
But it was Battlefield 4 was like the first month. This is the first day, and the first hours, actually, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, it was fixed
in hours. In fairness to Ubisoft, they fixed it in hours, but
that was a pretty unfair comparison.
In fairness to the gamers, like, you stay up. I was like so excited because I thought it was coming out like 2 a.m., but it was coming out 10 my time, which obviously changes fucking everything. So I was like so hyped, like I was ready to play it. It was like 9:59. I was so hyped, and then we played it. We started playing. We, start off in the Brooklyn tutorial. Everything's going good until we tried to travel from Brooklyn to Manhattan, and then we got like kicked. It was the worst. You would get error coded, right? You'd get kicked from the game. You'd have to restart your game. You'd try to start it again. Then you'd get put in a queue. And then when the queue would get down to, like, you were like, the queue would be like thousands of players, but then when you get down to, like, you were place 90 and you were like, I'm almost in, it would error code you again. You'd have to restart your fucking game. And that was like 2 hours from hell. Now, granted, it was only 2 hours, but still, it's like, Ubisoft, you know how many people have pre-ordered this game. Like, you have the numbers. It's not like a surprise, right? Yeah. So like, oh shit, we didn't know. Someone lost the numbers. Like, no, you should be prepared for this. But
I feel like
go ahead.
The only big game that actually has done a launch correctly and not had any major problems is Destiny. Like, going back to that. That was perfect at launch. There's nothing wrong with it.
If I remember correctly, Black Ops 3 was pretty good as well.
Yeah, I didn't get Black Ops 3 when it launched, so I wouldn't know.
From what I could be wrong about this, from what I remember, and I remember how bad Black Ops 1 was, because at launch you couldn't play with friends for like 2 days. It was horrible. Yeah. Black Ops 3 seemed to be better, but we're kind of getting off topic. Let's go. So for 2 hours when it launched, it was glitchy, but it kind of has always remained a little glitchy. every day when I play, now I can play for a few hours in a row and everything's fine, but pretty much every day there'll be a time where my game just freezes and my Xbox is like, "Meh," and everything, and I'm like, oh fuck,
Wow.
and I have to like restart the game. And
Yeah, that doesn't happen for me.
well, it happens on the
Jeez.
Xbox. Like once a day, I'll say my game freezes. Once a day.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, the last thing that happened to me was like maybe a couple days ago, like 2 in the morning. It was like it kicked me out, said something about server issues for 15 minutes, and then I came back 15 minutes and got right back in.
Shit,
was
well,
fine.
that doesn't look good for the game that's optimized for the Xbox One then, because we're
Yeah.
getting all the DLC early. And yeah, it has been it hasn't been, the thing is, like, when you get kicked out, it should never be happening where your game is glitching all the time, right? Obviously, that's a bad thing, but the fact that, Ubisoft has, or, you know, Massive, the developers of the game, has it in place that if you do get kicked, which is annoying, but, like, when you restart the game,
You're instantly back in your party.
it'll literally put you back where like
Yeah.
you were. So it's like it's annoying, but it's less annoying. Like it's not like you lose a whole bunch of progress. All your teammates do is like you're in the party, you're like, oh shit, I got kicked or whatever, and they're like, okay, we'll just wait here, and then you spawn right back in, and then you're good
Yeah,
to go.
I like that.
But still, you shouldn't be getting like delta'd and error code Mike and error code Delta
Yeah.
all the time, which
Mike
does
and
happen
Romeo
to me.
for like 3 hours straight.
Yeah, like so I think that that's interesting that the PS4 is apparently error free because I still get errors on the Xbox One.
Like the only glitches, there's two. There's two that really pop out. There is the sound glitch on the PS4 where you'll be running or doing something and like everything goes quiet and you can just hear like guns shooting, and then it just like 3 seconds later all the sound pops back in. It's not that bad. It's obviously a glitch. But the other one is when you try to customize your appearance and you're not in a big enough room, like the whole behind you, like everything behind you will go gray, and like your character, like the shaders on it get really dark and you can't see anything. So you have to back out of the menu, go find somewhere else where you can customize
That
your
happens on the
appearance.
Xbox as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty minor for what I'm hearing on the PS4. On the Xbox, there's a little bit more problems. The party system and transferring to game chat is hell. So many times, like, it's a good idea when you're in the dark zone to be in game chat, right? And so
No, because people can hear you, can't they?
yeah, that's the point. I like being in game chat so I can say, hey, we're cool, like, you know, we're just gonna kill the boss. Hey,
Oh
shoot
yeah,
the
I
boss.
use that to hear people coming. Like oh shit, there's some people down the street talking. Let's get ready.
Oh, like, well, I'm not a dick, so I'm going around making friends in the dark zone, getting people to help me extract. Like everything's going well for me. But I to each his own. But my point is, I liked using game chat, which is not a bad thing. There's fucking game chat in the game. Obviously, you should be able to use it. No, if you're in Pi chat and you just go switch to game chat, it almost never works. Every time I do that, if I'm in Pi chat and I say switch to game chat on the Xbox One, this has happened to multiple times, not just to me, to other people. You know, if you're in a squad of 4, only 2 people are able to hear each other, and the other 2 people can't hear anyone. So you have to go back to party chat, and then like you have to restart your game to fix this. So they need to get their shit together with the whole game chat scenario.
Well, how do you do it on Xbox? Because I know on PlayStation it's just like party settings.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do on
Go to
Xbox
game
too.
audio.
That's
Okay.
exactly what you do on Xbox too. Yeah, but so you're in a party, everything's fine, and you click switch to game chat, and then you can't hear anyone. It's horrible. Yeah,
weird.
it's so there is some glitches that they do need to fix. So they I think that like that's something that needs to be brought up. The glitches aren't, you know, horrendous, but they happen, and that's never okay. You shouldn't be, you know, running around in a subway and then suddenly your character stops moving and it's like, "Wah," and then and your game ends. Like that shouldn't happen. This is a triple
One
A
thing
title.
I will say, I was looking at the subreddit for The Division, and apparently there was this glitch where I think it might have been the Midas. There was a perk on it or something like that where
Yeah, that's getting nerfed already.
yeah, it's already been like 48 hours.
Yeah.
It was a
Wait,
perk where
wait, hold on. You're saying
Yeah.
if a gun is overpowered, the company can nerf it in 48 hours?
quick, just
Dude,
that quick.
I thought it was like 250 days minimum.
Yeah.
Huh,
Like,
that's so weird. And I'm
headshots
not referring
would
to any
always-
company in general, fanboys. I'm just saying out loud. In any event, we kind of went over the glitches. We went over the end game, but let's talk about like the positives. Like what are we enjoying with the Division? Like what's your favorite part of the Division so far?
I come from a background of like heavy MMO play, so I really like the so-called Holy Trinity in this game, where it's heal, DPS, and tank.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. Um, I wish it would have just been three-man fire team, or geez, not a fire team, a group. But four is okay. I can deal with that. So
Really,
there's
I like having four. I like having an extra squad mate. Actually, I
yeah,
like
it
it.
would. I feel like it would have been more balanced if there was only three, because now you can just say if everyone's playing their specific roles, there can be an extra role. So there can be an extra like
That's the point,
specific.
though. Now you gotta decide which person to assign the extra role, bruh.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just
You're realizing that that's not really that good of a complaint, is it?
yeah, it's
Okay.
not.
Okay. Well, that aside, like, what's your favorite part of the game? What are you enjoying?
Oh, my favorite part. The game is beautiful. It looks really good.
Yeah, the weather
Especially
system, the lighting, honestly, it's pretty
even on
amazing.
console, it
Yeah.
looks super amazing, which I'm really surprised with.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like the atmosphere. Like I like if you're in the dark zone, it can be night in the dark zone sometimes and a blizzard and you can't see anything, right?
Yeah,
Like
I hate that.
oh, but it's like a different experience. And then, you can go in the next day and then it's sunny and daytime and you can see everything. And it's just like a
Yeah.
different experience every time, even if you're in the same area, which obviously helps with replayability.
Yeah.
And well, for me, I think what I am enjoying, I wouldn't say most enjoying, but the thing I am enjoying is I like so far, I think the loot system has a great degree of depth and the armor system as well. Like we've kind of just scratched the surface, and every day I'm like realizing more and more stuff in terms of the loot system. Like the stamina mods. I used to kind of be like, when I first got them, I was like, what the hell are these, right? But
Yeah.
they're attachments for your armor. So now you're looking for armor with attachment slots so you can put in, like I have high end performance mods. And some have pretty substantial increases. Like I have a high-end firearms performance mod that increases firearms by like 190, so almost 200, right? So
Yeah.
which is pretty good. So if I can find, I'm looking for now stuff with performance mods. So let's say I can get, a mask that increases, that has a slot. If I want to just go max into my firearms, I can try to look for one that already has a firearm bonus and then add on top of it to have this massive firearm bonus. Or I can spread things out, look for one with health, and then use that while at the same time not lowering my performance in terms of firearms too much by putting that mod on and raising it a little bit. So there's a lot of depth to this loot system, which I'm liking, and it's kind of like the actual like RPG, like Japanese RPG style of loot system, where like you're actually looking at stats and numbers and trying to
Yeah.
figure out like the best of the best of the best, trying to get every percent of extra damage, which in terms of like long lasting, that's pretty good.
I'd like to know the hard numbers on each of the three. I don't know, what are they called?
Like
Attributes.
pure talents.
Yeah, maybe the talents. I don't know what the benefit is having 20,000 electronic power versus 30,000, or how
Yeah.
much extra health I gain from a certain amount of stamina mods or stuff like that.
Well,
I'd like to know.
Yeah, it tells your actual health. It'll be like it goes up from 30,000 to 60,000 or whatever. So it tells your actual health.
Okay.
And it tells your damage per second. But I agree with you I totally agree with you in terms of the electronic skill, where it's like, what does it mean if you have 11,000 electronics? What does that?
Because
Like-
right now, it just, in the electronic skill in your character menu, it just says, like, the amount of skill power you have, its regen time, and, like, something else about it that doesn't even help. Like, I don't know what any of these mean. Why
Yeah, they
is
need to
this
have.
here.
I
If
think they
did,
just need.
explain it more.
They need more percentages. Instead of just having a raw increase, it should be like this increases your health by 5%.
Or
That
how much
that would be easy to
does
understand.
this heal? What percentage does this heal more for instead of? And shit, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah, no, like if you have the healing perk, it heals for 10,000 health, and if you increase your skill power, it'll say now it heals for 20,000 health.
Yeah, something
it'll
like
tell
that.
the actual. I agree with that. Like there is actually a lot of, part of what makes it diverse is it's very complicated, and that can turn players off definitely. And they've got to work on making it a little bit easier to understand, I think. Yeah. But one of the downsides, however, like we're talking about the positive of the loot system, and again, I found it more diverse than I was expecting. But one of the negatives is that they still have taken some shortcuts, and what I'm talking about is like. The black. I got like a police Mark 17, marksman's rifle, right? That's actually the same as a Scar H. Turns out, Scar H and the police MK47 and the black market Scar H and all of these things are just variants of the same gun. And
you can tell the same stats.
No, luckily there is some play in the stats in terms of damage. At least you can find.
I'm talking about like accuracy, stability, like
there might be slight plays in that too, because they come with random bonuses, they come with random perks, and the damage is semi-randomized. But in terms of the rate of fire and magazine size, that's the same. Like the MK17 has I think it's 275 rounds per minute. So does a Scar H. So does a military Scar H. So does all that stuff, right? How there's you can get a Navy MP5, a black market MP5, but all the MP5s are going to have the same rate of fire and magazine size pretty much, with very few exceptions. And the damage, although some can be higher than others, the damage is always in the same ballpark, which obviously but this obviously worries me coming from Destiny, where they did completely take this they took this shortcut. There's only how there's only 3 assault rifles, right? And all the assault rifles fall into these categories. It looks like they have kind of done the same with the guns in the Division to a less extent, because there's still some randomization and some play within the guns.
Yeah, I mean, they look different, that's like the only difference between them. But for instance, I have a pistol, I think it's like a tactical 1911, where I could put like a laser sight on, versus the regular 1911 where it's just a magazine mod and a barrel mod instead of a third mod that you can put on there.
Yeah, I think that I enjoy the loot system. I think that there's enough randomization to keep it going, and the fact that you can get completely random high-end weapons really does go the extra mile for keeping it going. And the perks seem to be decently useful. Like you're looking for the perks actually. It turns out at level 8 they had a lot smaller numbers. They were scaled down, but once you reach level 30, they're pretty substantial. Like I have a perk on a couple of my guns. In fact, both the guns I'm using, that just headshot damage is increased by 20%. That's substantial. That's amazing, right? And I think if it was from the beta, it would have been like 5%, which is crap. So once you actually reach level 30, the perks, it'll be like, you get 12% more skill power when this happens, or you'll heal yourself for 11% when you kill an enemy. These are all actually good numbers that do something, which is good, because perks are another way to differentiate guns, which Destiny kind of failed on, because the perks in Destiny, a lot of them are fine, but we were talking earlier, can you name a perk in Destiny, not from vanilla Destiny, aside from Hidden Hand, that's good that you're actually looking for? And we couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah.
Like Battle Runner, like fucking Last Resort, like Surrounded, they're all shit perks, and that's the unfortunate part, is like, since you're looking for the same role on everything, you don't get the same diversity. You don't get, right? And whereas in the Division, if you get an assault rifle, right, with a bunch of skill power perks that increase your skill power when you do stuff, you're more inclined to take your entire build towards skill power and then just focus on skill power and make your Seeker Mine amazing, for example.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I also really enjoy the attachments. The attachments can totally change how a gun plays.
Oh, it's crazy.
I have like a 90% magazine size and 30% more fire rate magazine attachment. That thing transforms LMGs into monsters. It's so... I
have basically I'm running an RPK. Mine doesn't have 90. It has 82% magazine increase, 25% fire rate increase, and it's just and the RPK has the two perks on my RPK are 41% more accuracy and the 20% more headshot damage. So I just aimed. Yeah, it's disgusting. And that's the kind of guns that from a loot system for a loot game you get excited about. You get excited about getting the god roll on stuff, right? And I think you're right. The attachments, I'm surprised by how much they actually matter, right? And I like how, for example, barrel attachments, right? Most barrel attachments, most of the time, will just be like reduced threat, accuracy, or accuracy and stability, or like, initial bullet stability, whatever. But some you can actually find with critical hit chance, so you can actually increase your DPS with them too. So I like how, like, it's not like every single barrel attachment and muzzle brake is kind of the same thing. You can actually, if you get a gun and you're like, this gun's inaccurate, I'm gonna really kind of try to make it more accurate, you can focus it that way. Then if you get an accurate gun and you really want to focus it towards damage, you can do it that way as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to build an SMG towards just pure crit, you could get mods for that. If you want to build an LMG towards pure magazine size, you can get stuff for that. It's great.
Yeah, the attachments actually have like all substantial bonuses that you're very interested in.
They're meaningful. Yeah, it's something that you want.
Like fire rate by 20% fire rate increase is like, that's so much. Like, that's gonna change your DPS dramatically and change how your gun acts dramatically. And actually, funny enough, like I came up with a video today about the Vector, and I was saying I like the Vector's rate of fire where it is, and I would recommend against increasing the rate of fire just because it just makes it like recoil more, right? Which is, obviously it's, in the end, it's personal preference, but it's a totally legitimate thing to say. Like, sometimes you have the faster shooting guns, some assault rifles are automatically come with like 800 rounds per minute. You don't want that rate of fire increase because then it's like uncontrollable. So you actually might want to just go for like magazine size increase and critical hit damage, or some of the magazines actually just have like weapon damage plus 10%. So there's a lot of play within the attachment system, which I really do like.
Back to the gun part, I like how there's just a diversity for each use of each different type of gun. Like LMGs are meant to suppress and deal damage at longer ranges. SMGs are just crit monsters. Assault rifles are kind of balanced burst weapons. It's just, there's so much variety. It's awesome.
And hopefully, if everything is to be believed, when Ubisoft released that like year one DLC, they said, there's the graphic, I remember it said more weapons. So hopefully they'll be adding actually more of like diverse weapons into the game. They'll be adding a single fire assault rifle, for example, and then it'll come with a bunch of different variants. You can get the black market version and the first wave version, all that shit. But that's the dream, because if they do that, they will keep this loot system diverse. Because right now, I think we're both in the agreement, the loot system, in like the gun loot system might not be the most amazing thing in the world, but the gun loot system combined with the attachment loot system combined with the armor loot system, all of those things makes for a really diverse experience.
Yeah.
So overall, the question was, what do we think of The Division? Overrated or amazing? And I think for me, I'll ask you after, I like it. And I don't think it's the most amazing game I've ever played. I'm not like literally sitting there blown away, but I can't stop playing. There was one day where I kind of turned it off and I was like, I'm going to like watch some Netflix or whatever. I watched like half an episode of something and I was like, fuck, I also need to go back to The Division and complete my like skill, upgrading all the skills in my security wing. So I like went back on because I couldn't stop playing. So I'm having a ton of fun in The Division. Because I'm so interested in those loot based games. The fact that the loot system is so good that we spend a lot of time talking about, that's the reason that really makes me think this game's quite enjoyable.
I'd like to hear a perspective from someone that doesn't come from Destiny and loot-based games, because I think I have a bias in saying like this game's good. It's pretty solid, but I feel like it's just a break from Destiny for me, and I hope it turns into something that I can move away from Destiny and just play this game.
I'm viewing this game as like I said, like, the Division is kind of a good thing for Destiny, right? Like we kind of mentioned a lot of bad things about Destiny in this video, but that's only like we're talking pretty much facts here, like in terms of the perks in the DLCs just haven't been good. They took shortcuts with the damage archetypes. All this stuff is facts. This is undeniable stuff, but it's stuff that like Destiny did and the Division decided to improve on, which is obviously a good thing. Now, does that mean Destiny is like the worst game in the world? Absolutely not, right? And Destiny 2 is gonna hopefully improve on the stuff that Destiny made mistakes on and the stuff that the Division made mistakes of. And like I think The Division is great timing because a lot of people have just been playing so much Destiny and they're kind of, they're getting bored with it, which is understandable. Like, after you rank up 1,000 hours of Destiny, I mean, you've gotten your fucking money's worth, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to go to a different game. It's a different experience. It has enough similarities that you can kind of find yourself at home.
It's not too far from your comfort zone.
Yeah, and you can play The Division and then and get back into Destiny when new content comes to Destiny. Like, I think a lot of the reason people got so kind of bored with Destiny and Destiny is dead, that whole thing, is like there was nothing else they were playing, and so they were playing Destiny every day and every day liking it less. But thankfully now there's another alternative. Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna, I think, wrap it up for the video. Thank you, Foxx, for being the guest here.
Yep.
And I hope you guys watching enjoyed this PodKack. If you did, and if you want to see more, please remember to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.